I'm Eric Land. I've lived in Winsterton for 22 years now. I started seal wardening 5 years ago, first at Horsey, and as the rookery has expanded, now looking after Winsterton as a duty warden. A seal warden is probably not aptly named. We should actually be called people wardens, because actually the seals can look after themselves left alone. It's the people that need wardening, and we do that as volunteers, and bearing in mind that we've got no authority, it's purely advisory. But 99% of visitors are very sympathetic to that. There's always the odd percent that prefer to take a different stance, but it's advisory, and a lot of the visitors come and ask us, what should we do, what shouldn't we do, where should we go, where shouldn't we go? And that's why we're there, to try and manage the vast amount of numbers that we get these days to preserve wildlife and the coastline.
We recently moved into the area, and we thought it would be a good way to meet people and also to help people understand a little bit about the seals here at Horsey.
I retired about 6 years ago and was looking around for something to do. Knew of the seals down here, and I came down here, started wardening, and I'm now down here nearly every day.
My name is Kate Dugan. I'm a project officer at the Norfolk Coast Partnership. So the Norfolk Coast Partnership is a public body. We were set up in the early 90s, and we work together with about 25 different organisations along the coast who've got an interest in looking after the Norfolk Coast area of outstanding natural beauty. And we do that on behalf of the local authorities, which have a legal duty to look after the coast.
So my name is Peter Ansell. I'm chairman of Friends of Horsey Seals, which is a local charity looking after the well-being of the seals on this part of the coast. Well, my job role within the organisation is mainly on the beach. Although I'm the chairman of the committee, I mainly work on the beach, putting up the signs, putting up the ropes and the posts, trying to keep people off the beach if we can, because it's a critical time for the seals at the moment.
We've worked with the Friends of Horsey Seals for several years now. We gave them a grant originally to help them set up and brand themselves, and we liaise with them every year with regards to the seals and the good work that they're doing to look after the seals.
When I first started, we had about 100 wardens. This year we've got almost 250. They're all very well trained. We all work closely together, monitoring where the seals are, where the people need to be or not be. And it's a very close-knit community, as it should be. We communicate very well, and I think we're pretty effective. I became a seal warden, and I can remember questioning that decision. The first time I seal wardened at Horsey, I was up on the dune with the wind and the rain coming horizontally towards me and thinking, why did I do this? But that was the first encounter, and I've enjoyed it ever since. I really do enjoy it.
During the busy times of a Saturday or a Sunday, we have 3 different shifts, and on each shift there will be 9 or 10 wardens on various different wardening points along here.
So some of the issues that the grey seals are facing at Horsey and Winsterton is disturbance by people and dogs primarily, which is why the Friends of Horsey Seals cordon off. They operate a voluntary beach closure at Horsey during the winter months when the grey seals are coming up onto the beach.
For the 3 months of the year, November, December and January, they are flooded with visitors coming from all over the place, from abroad as well as the local surrounding areas and even further afield. So that causes quite a bit of congestion on their roads, and from a little tiny sleepy hamlet that it was, it suddenly becomes almost a metropolis. We get somewhere in the region between 90 and 100,000 visitors in 3 months.
The seals, they're a fantastic asset to have on our coast. In terms of numbers, their numbers have gone up exponentially over the last decade, thanks to the efforts of the Friends of Horsey Seals looking after them. They're now one of the largest colonies, certainly in this part of the world, if not the whole of the UK. So they're doing really, really well.
Well, we're just visiting the area, and I'd heard about the seals, and it's really nice to see them in their natural habitat.
A few years ago there were hundreds of visitors. Because of social media and the media generally, that's escalated to astronomical amounts. I think last year upwards of 60,000 people in the 3 months of the popping season.
What we would like visitors to do is, when on arrival, once they've parked their cars, if they're at Horsey, there are well-defined routes for them to follow, where they can go to the top of the dunes and they can get a really, really good view of the mothers, the pups and the bulls. We're trying to say to people, look, stay back. Give them at least 10 metres clearance, because if the mother gets spooked, she'll do one or two things. She might attack the person who's in her space, or she might do the other thing, and that's run for the sea. And if she runs for the sea and doesn't come back, we're left with a pup on the beach with no mother, no food, and then that's another problem.
Trying to instill in people that this isn't a zoo, it's not Longleat, it's the wild, and they have the opportunity to experience that, but have to realise that they have to treat it as such and not as a zoo, and keep the distance from the seals. Also, bearing in mind with recent erosion of the coastline, our only natural defence here, we don't have a sea wall, are the dunes, and particularly the marram grass that holds everything together, and to try and convince people that they shouldn't be trampling all that down, because it's affecting not just wildlife but the coast itself.
I would remind everybody the seals are wild animals, and if they feel threatened or challenged, they are likely to turn on you. And if they bite you, their mouths are full of a very nasty bacteria, and in the case of getting bitten by a seal, you must go to the Norfolk and Norwich hospital, explain you've been bitten by a seal, and be dosed up with antibiotics.
Well, to respect that they are wild animals and give them the space, keep to the paths, and the wardens are just here to help.
People need to keep their dogs on a lead, because as you've seen, the seals even get up into the dunes up as high as this. Most people come and enjoy themselves thoroughly.
So there's a few bits of advice we'd like to give people. Primarily, we ask that people stay at least 10 metres, absolute minimum 10 metres from a seal, be that a pup or an adult. Adults can get pretty big, you don't really want to be too close to them, but also to pups, so that you're not disturbing the pup and potentially causing the mother to abandon it. With grey seals, we ask that they stay the landward side of any seal that they come across. You walk up towards the dunes. That enables, particularly adults, if they get spooked for any reason, they can have an escape route to the sea.
The pups are on the beach for 6 weeks, that's all. The pups are fed for 3 weeks. After the 3 weeks, the mother leaves them, and they spend another 3 weeks on the beach on their own until they lose that lovely fluffy white coat and get their adult coat. Then they can go into the sea and swim and fend for themselves. Whilst they're on the beach for the second 3 weeks of their lives, it's essential that they're not harassed by dogs or people, because they're full up with fat that they put on from their mother's milk over 3 weeks, and that is what's keeping them alive for that 3 week period until they can go and find food for themselves. They're born at the birth weight of about 12 to 15 kilos, and in 3 weeks that balloons, if you like, to somewhere between 40 and 45 kilos, which is a tremendous weight increase in that short space of time. That's their safety barrier until they can get old enough to go into the sea and swim and look after themselves. So just respect it.
Take advice from wardens. So if there are wardens out when you're there, speak to them. They'll know where the seals are. They'll know if there's any in distress, and they'll have an eye on them. They'll know the latest numbers. They'll be full of interesting facts and information. So listen to them, go where they ask you to go. If you think a seal is in trouble, there are numbers to call. The British Divers Marine Life Rescue are very good. At Horsey and Winston in particular, the Friends of Horsey Seals are the key people. Just enjoy your visit and enjoy the spectacle of seeing the seals.